When D&D 2024 was released, the Bastion system got a lot of media attention. There was a lot of folks excited for it and some a little apprehensive. Well, over the last year, I've been playing with Bastions in my home D&D campaign, and I think it's time we report in on this structure. Hi, I'm Peter, creator and lead designer of Tales from Elsewhere, and I've been playing RPGs for over 25 years now. And in this video, I'd like to talk about rote system design, R-O-T-E, and how we as designers can avoid the mistakes that I think Wizards of the Coast made when they made their Bastion system. Alright, let's hop in and define some terms, and let me unpack how the last year has gone in my home D&D game. One of my favorite campaign settings is Greyhawk, specifically in the Jaclea Bay region where the city of Sassorine lies, because I love pirate campaigns. And my home group has been playing on and off in this same setting for over a decade now. We keep returning to it because there's something so fun about playing D&D as a group of pirates, sailing the seas and getting plunder and fighting monsters. So when 2024 was released, we started a new campaign using those rules in Greyhawk. And we were very excited once we could start unlocking Bastions because we thought, how cool is this? We'll have our own pirate cove. So once we found this secret island with its own little hidden cove upstream, we built our Bastion as a party of 4, each of us having several facilities that we controlled within the larger pirate cove that we designed. And we've been using them now for about a year. We're level 13, and we actually transitioned into a spell-jamming pirate campaign, so we've started to sail the astral sea and get into all sorts of hijinks, and our Bastions are still something we're leveraging to this day. But I have to say, the initial excitement on setting up our Bastions has really worn off after just dozens of sessions, because I've found that controlling and utilizing these Bastions has become a rote process. So I'll walk you through how we go about using these Bastions, and then we'll unpack what rote game design is as it applies to this structure. Now, we're level 13, and so each of the 4 players has 5 Bastion facilities at their disposal. I'm the party wizard, and I have a garden, a greenhouse, an arcane study, a workshop, and the archive. And each of the other 3 players have their own set of 5 Bastion facilities with a little bit of overlap. So we're covering a lot of bases. Our captain, who's a bard, has the tavern and some other workshops. The paladin, has the training facilities in the armory. The druid has their, menagerie and so forth. It's very flavorful. But in reality, the maintenance of these facilities each session can sometimes take upwards of 30 minutes to an hour. And that's because there is a lot of logistics to manage with these with very little return at the end. Let me unpack how that works. A lot of these Bastions either require a gold injection to produce a minor item that is sometimes worth more than the gold you put in, thereby profiting a small amount, while others perform minor spellcasting services, and others are just about really the maintenance of the Bastion itself, like hiring your guards. And for the maintenance of each of these Bastions, there isn't really an interesting decision to be made. For example, at my greenhouse, I can have it make one of several poisons during a Bastion turn, or make one greater healing potion. Well, poisons are almost entirely useless, especially in Tier 3 Dungeons & Dragons, so really the only thing it does is make one greater healing potion per Bastion turn. There's really no decision there. It's just, I flip that on, and it makes greater healing potions, which are useful, but, when the paladin has 150 hit points, they don't make a huge dent in that hit point total at the tier we're at. The workshop and garden are there really to just produce money, because what they do is they make items that have value and they produce income. So rather than actually engage with those Bastions, I just have a little spreadsheet I put together that has the cost and output, the input and output of our entire Bastion, all facilities combined, to try to save everybody time, because so much of these make things that aren't useful at level 13 or higher. Things like uncommon magic items. At this level, we're teleporting all over the world and flying through the multiverse, so the ability to make a uncommon implement isn't very impactful and is usually a non-decision. We just have them make it and sell it at a minor profit. So really, it's just a factory to make a few thousand gold every Bastion turn. And even for the Bastions we have that go beyond that do something that isn't just making gold, a lot of it feels very redundant with spellcasting. For example, I have an archive that lets me cast legend lore once per Bastion turn. But at this level, we can just cast legend lore, so it's not all that useful. Similarly, we have the Observatory, I think, which lets us cast Contact Other Plane. But we've been able to cast that for 4 levels already, and we just unlocked that at level 13, and so it's not actually all that useful. The Tavern, which we thought would be really fun and flavorful for the Bard, actually doesn't really do a whole lot. You have to do a series of skill checks during a Bastion turn and hang out there to put on a performance, which sounds really flavorful, but the mechanical results of which are extremely minor. You basically gain a Bardic Inspiration die that's, I think, a D6 that you can use within the next 24 hours. It's not super useful. Because remember, Bastion turns can take place over like a week or even a month. They're very lengthy, depending on how you want to use them. And the Bastions are very fiddly. We actually ended up abandoning the room layout structure that the rules describe, where certain rooms have certain sizes and certain numbers of rooms within them, within a facility to put things, because it was honestly so much overhead with effectively no return that we just abandoned that entire structure within the Bastion system. Now, before you say that, oh, Peter, you're just not the intended audience for Bastions, it's for people who like logistics, well, you'd be wrong. I'm the logistics guy in my group. I'm the one who's the party quartermaster most of the time, the one who notes down all the loot and handles the party coffers, and in survival games, the person who tracks food and water, right, rations, all that kind of stuff is usually my purview. I enjoy that kind of thing. But I like when there's actually substantive reasons to be tracking all of that stuff. The Bastions, as they stand right now, feel like I'm doing a bunch of homework between sessions or at the start of the session with almost no real gain apart from some gold income. And like I said, at the level we're at, we can go kill a dragon and get a horde at this point, right? Gold isn't holding us back from any interesting gameplay elements. And because there's almost no decisions to be made that have any impact with the Bastions themselves, apart from minor differences in what consumable or magic item you make just to sell, it ends up being a ton of work with very little gain. The juice just isn't worth the squeeze. And that's because engaging with your Bastions is mostly rote. And now it's time for us to define what rote is and apply it to the Bastion structure, and then learn from it as game designers ourselves so that we don't make subsystems within our role-playing games that are simply rote by process. Something is rote when it is mechanical or habitual in nature, where it's repetitive. You're doing the same thing day in, day out, and it's often used in education when you're trying to learn something. But in this context, it refers to a game system that is simply used in upkeep rather than actually engaged with in the gameplay of the system. Rote gameplay systems are ones where the player must fill out a series of forms. They have to check some boxes, perform some arithmetic in sequence to continue playing the game or engaging with a subsystem. So with the Bastions, it means that whenever a Bastion turn resolves, I have to go through this sort of laundry checklist of all the Bastions, not really engaging in any decision making along the way. I'm just processing data in order to produce a result in the end. But I'm not playing a game at that point. It's not adding to the narrative or really enhancing the gameplay experience. It's just homework. And now maybe you're saying, oh, Peter, the DM is supposed to make you roleplay with the Bastions and make it a scene and name all the NPCs and really, engage with it. And that's good in theory. But again, we've been using this for a year. And we did name NPCs and roleplay it at the start. We even had a whole session about the discovery of our Bastion and freeing it from undead pirates and this whole thing. Really great stuff narratively. But session over session, every session resolving a Bastion turn for a year, you can see how you're not going to roleplay every single time you need to go back to churn out another couple thousand gold by processing your warehouse's materials and selling some magic items. There's not a story to be told there because the game mechanics don't change. It's all fairly immovable. The only thing that can be modified over time, really, the only thing that changes in a way that could garner story, is if your Bastion gets attacked. But when it gets attacked, you're not there for it. That's not how it's supposed to work. It's really just a couple die rolls against some target numbers based on how well equipped your army is, the guards you've left behind. And even then, it's not really a choice. You just always maintain your guards and hope that it's enough to stop it. It's not really engaging the players, it's not pulling them in and asking them to make decisions that could be challenging or could foster roleplay. It's laundry. It's something you just know you gotta do, but isn't very exciting, and you put on your headphones and you fold stuff and put stuff in drawers rather than actually think about what you're doing. It's rote. And one might hope that there would be interesting upgrade paths for every Bastion facility such that you can make cool decisions about saving up gold to then upgrade this facility to do this and this one to do that. But no, the upgrades are fairly linear, usually just make them bigger, and they maybe produce a little bit more than they did before. They almost never change their behavior or enhance what they do in any way that isn't just a linear progression. Like, oh, okay, this one profits me 200 gold per Bastion turn. If I upgrade it for a few thousand gold, it'll profit me 400 gold per Bastion turn. Hooray! I mean, it's good, and it'll pay for itself after a handful of Bastion turns, but not really an interesting mechanical system or engaging roleplay moment, is it? So what can we learn here as designers when looking at this system? There's a couple things. One is we don't want any subsystem to be so mechanically or mathematically onerous that it becomes homework to engage with. Don't make me bust out a spreadsheet to start calculating the 20 different facilities we have and their various incomes and profits. Keep things mathematically simple when it comes to these sort of macro subsystems. 2, make sure that any systems like this have decisions to be made. And this applies to everything within a role-playing game. For example, if you have a game in which you level up over time and you have a class that gains new features, try to make it so that class gets to choose between different features at certain breakpoints. Leveling up should be exciting and should have possibilities that the players get to explore. Like in D&D, when a sorcerer levels up, they get to pick new spells. Well, if a different class simply linearly increases in power without any choices along the way, their level ups are going to feel much more stagnant, and they'll feel more rote. Like the progression of the Bastions in D&D 2024. Their progression is largely linear. It's a non-decision. If you have the extra money, just toss it at the Bastion facility and it'll get better. It's not really something that you look forward to in an exciting way, it's just simply a form of numerical progression. And that's why levels in D&D are always more exciting when you get a new ability score improvement or a new spell slot level, right? Or get to pick your subclass at level 3. Having interesting decisions to be made is where it's at. And the last point I want to make about rote design, or avoiding it, is to make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze. If you're going to make the players go through some sort of iterative process or some sort of bookkeeping, make sure that the gains they're getting, both mechanically and narratively, are worth it. If we're going to have to spend the first 30 minutes of a session processing a Bastion turn, well, let's have some exciting stories come out of that, or some really cool benefits, mechanical benefits that we're going to gain, not just a handful of gold. You want players to be excited to go through the processes your games present, not loathe them. Because remember, I like crunchy games. I like logistics and being the quartermaster, and I like tracking encumbrance. I'm like the guy that likes a lot of this kind of stuff. And so the Bastion system should have been something to get me excited. But I like interesting tracking of equipment, interesting tracking of supplies, not just homework. And the Bastion system is very much an example of homework. And that's something that we, as independent game designers, really got to keep an eye out for. Well, I hope you found that interesting. It's a subject I've been thinking a lot about over the last year as I've been playing with Bastions in D&D. And I know I sometimes harp on D&D on this YouTube channel, but I still love it and play it all the time. Heck, I'd play any role-playing game with my regular group, and I'd always have a good time. There's a lot to love about D&D, even if I disagree with a lot of the design decisions of the current edition. If you want to check out more from this channel, consider hitting the like and subscribe and maybe notification bell. We release a new video every couple weeks that goes into some other aspect of tabletop role-playing game design. I also post updates every week on the Tales from Elsewhere Patreon. This is set up to help fund the creatives that work on the YouTube channel and the books we create, the artists and editors. And I post additional game design rants, previews of upcoming products, and all sorts of stuff on there, and we'll put a link down below. Maybe consider checking it out. And we're still accepting PDF orders on our Tales from Elsewhere Clockworld book that we successfully crowdfunded last year. It's currently in layout design at the time of this video, and we're all on track for delivering it on time as per the Kickstarter estimates. Really excited to get that all out to you. If you pledge at the PDF tier, you actually get immediate access to the full rules content in beta PDF form. It's the whole rule set of the game, just without any art, editing, or layouts. All available to test out and play right now. Well, hope you enjoyed all that, like I said, and I will catch you here next time on Tales from Elsewhere.